Well, I hope it's hearable well. Is it? To forgive me, I'm not here myself. I need to check. Seems like it's okay, but do I hear myself? Yes, I do. Sorry, people. Each time I need to make sure that everything goes okay. When I was a student, not even student, when I was about to join the university, Kharkov Aviation Institute, then it was Soviet Union then, and it was necessary, besides of exam, it was necessary to prepare something like essay about some topic, and list of topic was given to us by lecturers, by teachers. And I have chosen the topic, which was called, in translation, of course, the attack helicopters of USA. Боевые вертолеты США. Attack helicopters of USA, and actually in our language, it was sound like a bit misleading. It was not clear. Does it comes about one class of helicopters as a period, so-called attack helicopters, they are called in English, or it comes about the whole military helicopters in United States Army? No, it was no point to detailize this question, and I have prepared the essay about all the possible variants, let's say, about the helicopters in USA. And it's appeared then for me that the most of American helicopters been produced by 4 leading company. It was company Boeing, it was Bell, it was McDonnell Douglas, and company with the name Sykorsky. I never heard about this name. I not even thought that it's someone name. All these Bells, Sikorsky, something like this. But this name for me sound, let's say familiar. Sound like Slovenic family name, like more similar to the Polish name. And I haven't any idea then that Sikorsky, it's really family name, but it's family name of my co-citizen. Of course, not of this generation. It's approximately 70 years after than me. No, of course, it's not alive right now, you understand. He already died. But it was the first maybe moment when I meet this name and when I meet this company, why I start not even studied this, but interested in this, because his helicopters of that company, Sikorsky, among all other helicopters in the United States Army, they been different. No, really, it was something distinctive, as for me then, more than 30 years ago. And I was interested in them and start following, it's no internet then, you understand, and start following them in journals about foreign military forces, to watch what they're developing and so on. And with some period, I understood that it comes about the really unusual person. I was already interested not only in his work, which I knew very little then, only by some books, by some photos in books, something like this in journal, as I already said. There were no much means right now, like videos, internet sites, and so on. And not that we've been limited in information, but information about him was not provided in our literature much. The man who in all the world it's called like father of helicopters, this man, Igor Ivanovich Sykorsky. But I would dare say that better name for him, better slogan for his life, it would be the man who was first ever. And this first ever in his life, it happened at least sometimes. When we're talking about his professional career, when we're talking about aviation at all. No, above the all, let's start from beginning at all. Do forgive me, I haven't prepared much slides for you. I'm going to illustrate my words immediately by showing you photos from internet. I will tell something and will explain it. I forgot to mention at the beginning of class that it's something like practical. It's our not something like, but it's our practical class, because we will talk about more practical things, and it's practical class number 7, and it will be one of classes that we are talking about, which we are going to use to talk about their history of aviation or some interesting fields of aircraft, of airspace engineering or aircrafts as group of vehicle, or about airspace technology. And I think I will start with person and life and work of Igor Ivanovich Sykorsky. He was born in Kiev, which is the capital of modern Ukraine. He was born and grew up in Kiev and started his flying career in Kiev. He studied in Kiev. Next, he continued his service life, his career as engineer. There were not then such idea like aerospace engineer, such name. They were just mechanical engineers. And he continued his career in another capital, in the capital of Russian Empire. He was born at the end of 19th century, and before the First World War, some years before the First World War, he already was adult man, young person, and he already was a pilot before beginning of the First World War. But by that moment, when First World War begins, he was already famous, not known for something, but he was famous airplane designer. But really, since beginning, since childhood, he been thinking, he been dreaming about the helicopters. He was just obsessed with helicopters, I dare say. And we will use some illustrations. You'll see his photos. Really been trying to find documentary videos about him. But in the resources that I might use, the video of Sykorsky, documentary of Sykorsky, usually are given with interrupting of authors of the video. They are talking instead of his documentary, or with overlapping the picture with some text and so on. So maybe, probably, mostly we will use either photos that I have prepared or some articles that I have found in internet, and it's a whole site about Sykorsky company, about his life, about the different fields of his career. No, I already said you that he was born in Kiev. He was born in a noble family, and family was unusual, to be frank, because his mother, not because only mother was unusual in this family, but it just to emphasize you the fact, let's say, end of 19th century. What do you imagine that time, that period? Maybe you are familiar with European history. Women were yet not so free, not so liberated as now, and education for women, it was even for noble women, education was finished usually at 15, 16 years, and it was approximately the level of secondary school. Of course, secondary school or gymnasiums for women, for girls, than for noble girls, they were much more serious than modern schools maybe, but mostly they've been focused on humanitarian disciplines, on languages, history, and something like this, not on natural disciplines like biology or mathematics or physics or something like this. And typically women, no, they've been wives after they grow up, they got marriage, born, deliver children, and been wives, not building up their careers. But Igor Ivanovich mother was a doctor. It was like outstanding for that period, that woman of noble family and doctor, and she had been educated first in university and as a doctor. And she was a woman of very wide interests, let's say, and of course, for her children, she was the first ever teacher. And she she used to read. It was period when this novelist Jules Verne, it's French novelist, practically it was the same period when he wrote these novels. He created the whole lines of novels for practically for education the years, let's say, about travels, about adventures, about some use in technology, and he has described it in his book. It was something like science fiction of that period. He has described it in his book some things that really didn't exist, some technical devices that really didn't exist by that period. And do imagine that child since young years of his life listening to such novels, to such stories, and moreover mother helped him to familiarize with real works of let's say scientists of the period of 200-300 years before. And among these scientists who were simultaneously scientists and famous sculptors or famous artists, like Michelangelo, for instance, or Leonardo da Vinci, among of these, he has read about Leonardo da Vinci work about flight, about human flight. Leonardo da Vinci, in his notes, has left the drawing, some sketch of something similar to modern helicopter. And it was said that Sykorsky, after this, was really obsessed, was sick with idea to design helicopters. I should say that he was not the first in this area, and when preparing to class, I've been trying to find like more information to you. Thank you. Will you work or not? Let's try to see it now. Working. And among of these things, I have found a book about helicopters. No, can't copy it because don't know how to do it. It's a library only for reading. In case will master to find it in some another place, show you next. In this book, it's explained history and aerodynamics of helicopters, history of helicopters, and a lot of historical information, including the first attempts, let's say. Let's try to come back to the place where we have been. Oh, I should not touch it. I should say. Okay, let's leave it. And let's come back to Sykorsky person. I should say, in addition that, I already started to explain about his life. He was born in Kiev, one capital. He traveled to, then Kiev was not a capital, you understand. There were no independent countries then. It was Russian Empire. Next, he traveled to the St. Petersburg, real capital of Russian Empire. And after life in St. Petersburg during some years and successful career and being married by this moment already, it started, it's called Great October Revolution. No, first it was February Revolution, then Great October Revolution. And in some period after these events, Sikorsky was forced to escape from country. Actually, that government, that authorities that been governing in St. Petersburg then, they were about to catch him, to destroy his life, to kill him at all. Don't ask me why. Maybe it was, not maybe, but certainly it was related with his personal opinion about that events. He was not agree with policy, with tendency that was in his country. He loved this country. He wished for this country only the best, but his idea about what is best for the country was significantly differ from ideas of people who take the power in the country at that moment. And as he was very bright, famous person, as it called, leader of opinions, leader of public opinion of that period, of course, it was like it was more simple for that authorities to remove him at all, literally to kill him, to make him disappear. And someone helped him, informed him about this, and he flew. No, he escaped. I mean, from country, flew. It doesn't mean that he really used the flight for this. He crossed the border, and he was found next in France. He continued his life in France. After some short period of his work and life together with his family in France, he traveled to America. And do try to imagine that situation. No, of course, it was a time when thousands of people left former Russian Empire, the territory which now belong either to Ukraine or to Russia or to Belarus, whatever. I mean, thousands of people been immigrated and been immigrating and searching for another life, and they were forced to do it, and they, as it called, left their homes for good, but really it was forced. They were forced to do it. It was not what was not according to their wishes. And do you imagine the mostly it comes about people with very good education, people who was famous in this country, who was wealthy people who has not rich maybe life, but wealthy life at least. And he has appeared abroad, known to no one practically, besides of some person like Sikorsky, for instance, and practically without any means to continue their existence. Do imagine such situation. Yesterday you was famous, rich, well known to everyone, respectable, and today you are poor in alien country. The only difference may be that because of good education these people had, at least they possessed the different languages. And you need to start your life, and moreover, when it comes about man, this man has family. He is responsible for wife, for children. To try to imagine this. And in this situation, maybe it was necessary to drop, to forget about all your dreams and to start work somewhere, wherever, only thinking about how to provide the life of family, but not Sikorsky. Sikorsky he continued his life, and maybe if you're reading something in the screen, somewhere here it's called, it was said that Sikorsky achieved a distinction in 3 separate careers in aviation. And when I said that this man, he was better called the first ever, what first ever? Look, I sent it you once. The video will not, maybe not, will not try to find it. I'm not so good in this messenger to find something quickly. The video that is called "Big Bigger the Biggest." The cargo airplane, bigger the biggest. Like central line of this movie, it was about our Antonov 124, and actually it was a story about giants, let's say, about giants in history. And in that movie, the story has started from one of giants being constructed by Sikorsky. But it was not the first. It was not the very first giant that Sikorsky already built. Let's try to see some photos, and I will explain you, I will talk to you about his work in these photos. Now, once again, what is first ever? He have created the airplane, multi-engine airplane, not even that one that's shown in a movie, Big is the biggest. The airplane with the name Grant, first by Sikorsky, it was called Grant. It means something like great in English, and Grant it's more French-like word, let's say. But next, this airplane was renamed by official authorities. It was renamed to, no, in our language, Русский Витязь. It's something like Russian great bold man, Russian hero, let it be, something like this. But actually, Vitis, it's not quite hero. It's someone who, no, the man who protecting the country, something like this, not in direct translation. No, the Sikorsky himself called it Grant, and that what was the very first, as I already said, the man who was first ever. That airplane is considered like first ever multi-engine airplane of pooling scheme. I hope you do remember that engines may be placed. Then they used only piston engines, of course. Props of engines and engines themselves, they may be placed either with props in front of engines, and it's called pooling scheme. Like engine is swimming by props in front of airplane, or in front of wing, or in front of fuselage. It's already completely traditional. It's commonplace now, this pooling scheme of airplane. But if we open the slides of very first flight airplane, Wright brothers airplane, and if you start watch one by one videos, or watch photos about ancient airplanes, let's say about pioneer airplanes, you will see that most of them, they are, no, practically all of them, they are of so-called tractor scheme, pushing scheme. Engine is somewhere here, and props are behind of wings, behind of the airplane. Sikorsky was the first one who have decided to replace these props to the front area of the airplane, and he made it in the multi-engined, in twin-engined airplane. The very first, the first ever. Next airplane of him, it was it's called Ilya Muromets. It's also one of our, no, it's not legendary man. It's our mythology. Let's say it's our fairy tales. Let it be about history of our country, and also it's like men who protecting the country in these legends, in our epos, let's say, about these periods, about ancient time. And that airplane already was with 4 engines. For that period, it was something outstanding. 4 engines above the all. Secondly, besides of 4 engines of pulling scheme, it was heaviest for the period of previous age of aviation, and it was heaviest for next some years. It was a great achievement. He was huge, heaviest airplane ever to that period. And this Ilya Muromets, it was created like airplane for passengers, heavy airplane for passengers, for carrying 16 passengers, something quite outstanding for that period. And it was luxury airplane inside. It means that they have not only seats for passengers, they have something like rooms for passengers inside. Rooms for passengers, toilets on board. That was something unbelievable for that period. Next, no, let's skip some years of his life. And next, when he went already to USA, to America, and he started the new company, a completely new company. Poor man who have nothing. He has no money, no people he familiar with who may help him. And he started his life from zero again. And some period of poverty, of course, was, and even during this period of poverty, he mastered to create, to design, and to build new airplanes. And among those of these airplanes, he was creator, designer, and manufacturer of the very first. It's called very first, but it was not the very first flying boat. It was the very first flying boat manufactured in serial manufacturing. It means one by one, not the only flying boat, not unique airplane that been in used once for some records. It was flying boat that been taken for manufacturing and been used by famous American company, Pan America. The name of this flying boat was Clipper. And after this, traditionally, all Hydra airplanes, all flying boats of this company, they never called like flying boat, they called Clipper for ages already. And it was approximately the 30th years of of previous century, not of our century. I still live in the 20th century, you know. And in 1939, he became the very first ever man, who has created helicopter and flight successfully. And after this, mostly he dealt with manufacturing, designing and manufacturing of helicopters, and some of them were completely unusual. So after I spent some minutes to explain you why I, let's say, in love in this person, it's not the whole details about yet. And after I explain you something, let's try to see and to comment some photos, some documents about him. What do we see right now? No, it was visible good enough. What is it? It's the very first helicopter of Sykorsky. And do pay attention, it's 1910 year. It's yet in Kiev. But it's not first helicopter. It said that it's already his second helicopter. His first helicopter was completely unsuccessful, were not able to fly, and Sykorsky understood that it's not because of bad design of helicopter. Sykorsky understood it's because of lack of engine. Actually, he stopped his attempt to construct helicopters for some period and like switch it to the airplane design just because he has no engine, proper engine. But as I already said, he dreamt about the helicopters. He was obsessed with helicopters, with the idea of rotorcraft. There were no word helicopters, but some rotorcrafts already was made, like early attempts to create these rotorcrafts, and they been already designed by different people. And here is, let's close this. Why? I increased the size. Here is, as you understand, the helicopter. We have not talked about helicopters yet, and before we start our studying of helicopters in next practical class, I hope, I decided to talk to you about some historical moments and about this man who is the father of helicopters. Is considered like in all the world father of helicopters. Next here, by the word, all his flying vehicles he usually designated with first letter of his name, not name, family name. And that is why the most models of his flying vehicles, whether it's fixed wing aircraft like airplanes or it comes about the helicopters, he designated them with letter S. No, here you see designation H2, helicopter 2. And you see here, intends his first solo in the aircraft his own design and constructed S1. He has constructed airplane which is called S1, and to pay attention to this flying bicycle. No, I don't know how to call it yet. No, literally, airplanes of that period, no, I can't show you documentary, but I've seen a lot of documentary, short clips about documentary. The only problem, not only about Sikorsky, the only problem that mostly they are overlapped either with text or with some explanation of authors of those video, instead of proposing the clean documentary, like to see what it was really. And I already said you in one of lectures, I think what exactly today, that history of aviation written by blood. And I'm already certainly said you that first flights, the pioneer age of aircraft construction, aircraft designing and construction, each flight was really the dreadful quest, in terms that it was something like saying flight may be considered successful if pilot alive after flight. Half of this flight has finished by disasters just on the ground, because people has no experience of flight at all. They were not able to control airplanes. If even airplane was good in design, it was necessary somehow to control it, and people were not experienced pilots. Second, the design of airplane was either wrong or has not enough strength, and it was significant problem then, not because people were silly, but we had no knowledge by that moment. We had knowledge, some minimum knowledge in aerodynamics and hydraulics, but it wasn't developed the science about strength, about the things that you study now in mechanics of material that are commonplaces now and been studied by any mechanical engineering. Those things are been known since the end, been studied and became known, and the series been developed from the end of 19th century. And mostly they've been used for, been applied and developed for constructing the bridges, not even some vehicles like machines, automobiles, or moreover, flying vehicles. And of course, as they do not understand how to calculate the strength of airplane, of course, they created structures that were able to fly, but they has significant problem with loading, as only load increased at the beginning of flight, this airplane may fall down and may be destroyed just by the forces of air downwashed the airplane. So you see this flying bicycle once again, but this flying bicycle has an engine, and to pay attention, engine prop is behind of the pilot, and there is neither cabin, no normal wing, no normal fuselage at all, but it's fly, and it's flight successfully. At least airplane number 2 in his career, he flight successfully, and in some months after he has created his very own airplane, he passed the exam for piloting, and has got the document. No, don't know clearly how to call it in English, such thing. It was something like certificate of pilot, and his certificate of pilot, he had number 64. No, 64, maybe I wrong with the number, but do imagine it was certificate of pilots all over the world, and his number was 64. It means that all over the world then there were around 500 of pilots, not more, because some of these 64 been already not alive by the moment of the Sikorsky first flight. No, as I said, not all the flights been finished successfully. Around 30% maybe of flights been not been finished, as I said. If pilot alive, flight should be considered like successful. Airplane does not exist any longer, but pilot alive, so it's successful flight. Next, no, it's mentioned here the Grant, what airplane called Grant. That is the name that airplane the Sikorsky himself gave to airplane, and now we see the cabin of this airplane. I will try to find you in another place right now. I has prepared some different photos. But, not true. No, not said. No, at least, what do we see? One of his earliest photo and one of his earliest airplane. I'm not sure about the name of this airplane, something like S5. And this airplane was in serial use. It means that he designed the airplane, he constructed and tested the very first airplane. I should have said that he would compulsory always he was the very first pilot of any of his machine, of any of his vehicle. The very first so-called maiden flight of each of his design until he was alive, it was made by Sikorsky himself. No, as for me, it's characterized him as extremely brave man, you understand, especially at the pioneer age of aviation. Now you see only a piece of this airplane, of airplane that is called Grant, the something like giant, the great. And what was so distinctive in this airplane? Above the all, it was really great. It was big. It was heavy airplane. It was big, and this airplane had first ever cargo. No, this cargo passenger airplane has first ever cabin. Cockpit was closed, and it has something like inner cabin in this airplane for accommodating the passenger or the cargo whatsoever. It was closed. In contrary to such structures like these flying bicycles, or even in contrary to the photo, to the airplane that I have shown you in photo, maybe it's not so obvious right now, but no, it's not visible because pilot is outside of cockpit. Cockpit was usually cockpit was open. there were no cockpit in our normal understanding. It was just some place where a pilot sitting, and pilot was open to the air. And quite clear it was also don't wash it with the air in flight. Extremely inconvenient, you understand. And by the word, pay attention. It's already tractor, push pulling scheme of airplane where it's disappeared. This one prop is already in front of engine. Prop is on the front face, but you still see that this airplane more similar to the flying bicycle. But that one, it's already to compare what piece that you see. It's still very thin, practically flexible wing without normal control surfaces we get used to see. As you might see, there are no separate control surfaces, neither here nor there. But at least it's already more similar to the modern airplane. It has stabilizer, it has mono wing, and it has closed this truss-like fuselage, which consists of some sticks and some wires, typically. Now it's already covered with something like a skin, something skin-like, let's say, covering. Well, let's try to see the airplane which is called Grand Helicopters. Igor Sykorsky helicopter. No, it's about his person at all. And great. Igor, how I missed this moment. Sykorsky. What do you see right now? This Igor Sykorsky Kiev Polytechnic Institute. It's our Polytechnic Institute in Kiev, Polytechnical University in Kiev. It's named after Sykorsky. Grant. The Grant. Okay, the Grant. What? Here is, you see the photo of this airplane, and it has, as I already said, huge size for that period, but not so huge as flying Ilya Muromets, flying passenger saloon, not even flying passenger cabin. And in one of I know, I have here one more place where to show you. And that airplane, which is called Grant, that we see Sikorsky S5, it's his first airplane design that flew successfully, you understand. And it's again, it's flying bicycle. And this flying bicycle been used by him to pass exam for, as I already said, exam for pilot. And it's already said that he, even in 1912, he already made so-called records. And what you see that he has deserved the Moscow Aeronautical Exhibition highest award then with his own design. Grant. What now we see the photo of Grant. 2 engines, twin-engined airplane, pulling scheme, and cabin cockpit. Now it's already closed. It's closed, and it means that it's more comfortable for pilot, and it was already a revolutionary step forward in design of the airplane. Before him, no one thought about such things at all. But it was only the very first maybe step on the way to next giants. And his next giant was Ilya Muromets. So here you see this size of airplane. It's yet traditional scheme. It's yet biplane, strutted biplane. You see additional supporting devices between wings. Everything looks very similar to airplanes of that period, besides of the fact that he used twin-engined airplane of pulling scheme of engines and closed cabin. And it's in flight. You see, it was so unusual. It was so unusual airplane of the period that even a Russian king, no, it's not does not call king, Russian Tsar, has visited the airplane just to see it. It was marvelous airplane. It was miracle of that period, and no, like like do you imagine who in your country now? And I know this name, but I'm afraid to pronounce it wrong. You forgive me. Xi Jinping. Do forgive me if I pronounce it wrong. Do you imagine that he attended one of China airspace enterprise just to watch some airplane? What it was? Maybe now it's not even so not so distinctive thing. Maybe now it may happen, but at that period it was something outstanding. The airplane itself was outstanding, and this visit was outstanding. And it was even presented. No, Sikorsky was presented with silver watches, if I'm not mistaken, and these watches now been saved in Museum of Sikorsky in America. And what now we see it him already in United States, but let's continue to watch photos about his airplanes. And it's what look at this, it's written that it's a rare photo, it's really unique photo when Grant is in flight. Why I stopped on this side instead of making of slides, I've seen the whole collection of articles about Sikorsky with very interesting photos, and it was not necessary now to prepare separate slides for you, because it's visible without any preparation. I can't find such photos in other places, I would say. So you see how unusual this airplane looks like to another airplanes. But do pay attention, landing gear. It was visible in previous photo, but maybe we didn't pay attention. Look at this landing gear. Ski, and seems like ski together with wheels. What? Look at this. You see? What is landing gear of this airplane? And in flight, it's visible that it's some interesting combination. This airplane being used for some, for making some records, for recording some records, and this airplane was broken, let's say, in some months after the first flight, but it already was period when Sikorsky was on the way to create next his airplane. And now we see the real photo of Ilya Muromets. It's immediately after process of its designing and construction. And to pay attention, it has again biplane scheme, but it has closed both cockpit and fuselage is used already, not like what pay attention here, fuselage here is used for carrying the stabilizer. And why it's so long? No, I hope you do remember what I've been talking about balancing of airplane in flight by stabilizer, and the area of stabilizer may be decreased if you have long arm between center of pressure, no, between the center of gravity, let it be, of airplane, between the wing and between the stabilizer. Arm of the wing should be as short as possible to reduce this pitching moment, and stabilizer arm distance between center of gravity and center of pressure of stabilizer should be as long as possible, because in this case, of course, you may reduce the area of stabilizer, may reduce the weight of stabilizer, but there is a slippery moment that when you increase this distance, certainly it means that you increase also the weight of fuselage. So whether you have some success in terms of saving the weight or not, it's significant question actually. It's necessary to check first. But whatsoever you see, the the fuselage without special windows, let's say. Moreover, in this explanation under the photo, it said, do pay attention where the passenger. Passenger is here. Cockpit is a little bit behind, but in front of cockpit, it's visible here very well. Balcony. It was balcony for passengers. And pay attention that some passengers are sitting inside of cockpit, behind of the pilot. No, it's real. No, you understand? It's maybe not a photo that more similar to the painting as for me. Maybe it's a photo. But some passengers during flight, they may watch the flight, they may enjoy the environment on balcony. So may you imagine modern airplane with balcony? It's to the matter about speeds of this. As I already said, flying bicycles practically. And of course, these flying bicycles, as they were insufficient in speed, of course, they need huge wings in order to move up, in order to lift big cargo. Once again, next airplane, Ilya Muromets, for that period, it was completely outstanding. And to pay attention to the photo, maybe it's already visible for you, the fuselage biplane started biplane with wires. Everything seems traditional, no, beside of engines. Ski instead of landing gear with wheels. Fuselage with windows. Inside of this fuselage, inside of the beam, it was not only a saloon, not only cabin for accommodating the passenger, but it was something like cafe inside. It was a lot of space. And I already said you that it was a toilet on board. And these outstanding things, let's see them in flight. Even if you compare photo of this one, of Ilya Muromets, with the photo of that dragonfly, do forgive me, you see how massive Ilya Muromets, this airplane, this new Sikorsky airplane, how massive it looks like. And what is interesting in this photo also, look at these people, where they are. Someone just staying either on the wing or in fuselage immediately during the flight. Of course, they have place inside of the fuselage to be accommodated in, but someone immediately on the fuselage here. I should say also it was very first airplane. Maybe you heard it in the movie if you watched that movie, that it was very first airplane where mechanics may travel inside the airplane to solve problems either with engines or with radars, and those mechanics has access, they may pass by wing during flight to the engine in case engine has any problem in flight. Actually, why people then afraid to use multi-engine airplanes? Because engines were practically not reliable, and in addition to all the problem with piloting, problem with strength of airplane, additionally it was significant problem the engines themselves, which may stopped, but just stopped in the flight. And in case of positioning of engine not along the longitudinal axis, not in the middle of airplane, it's appearing additional force when an engine stopped and another engine continued to work. And this additional force rotate airplane. You may imagine it. And in this case, airplane just stalled in some period by spiral motion. And in order to prevent it, Sikorsky has provided one more revolutionary step. He made radars on the rear fuselage, on the after fuselage. If we watch previous photo, it's it's obvious that flight controls practically absent there. Thin wings, where we have seen it. There are fins, but rotatable these fins or not. I clearly do not remember about Grant, but it was one of ideas of Sikorsky that vertical stabilizers, fins, should be movable during the flight. Before him, they've been used only for stabilization the flight, but not for controlling the flight. And he has designed his Ilya Muromets in such a way that it has some radars on the rear fuselage, and these radars were movable completely. No, it's like the whole wing, like tilted fin, let's say. The whole fin is tiltable. And these radars were responsible not even to control flight, actually. No, and control flight also somehow, but they were responsible for compensation this rotating moment in flight, for compensation the force that may appear due to failure of one of engines. That we see Ilya Muromets from top, as you might see, and somewhere I met interesting photo when it's half constructed. Let's try to see it again. Oh, here is. Great thing. Look. Sykorsky, but it's already in America. It's not Ilya Muromets, it's his another airplane. You see Sykorsky S-29. What? And no, I will going to talk to say it later. When Sykorsky came to America, when he changed country, as I said, you first from Russia, from Russian Empire, destroyed Russian Empire at that moment for him, disappeared Russian Empire. He went first to the France, and next he has appeared in America, in USA, and he started designing and manufacturing of new airplanes where it was so-called shared society, when people whom you see, they all invested money in this project, and they were like collective of owners of this airplane, let's say. But what is interesting, where they start their manufacturing, where they have the plant, enterprise, in chicken hands. In chicken hand, really, it was farm for chicken, for manufacturing the eggs, and on in the same building where chickens provided the eggs, let's say, in another corner of this building, they've been constructing their airplanes. No, right now we see only airframe. Do pay attention how delicate elements of airframe been done, but it's already normal, practically normal airframe structure, and you see it's made of wood by that moment, of course. It's still biplane, it's and so on, and other problems, but it's already very familiar to modern airplanes. However delicate is it, it's already more familiar to the modern beam-like structures of the airplane. The same airplane we see, but already covered with the skin. Let's come back to Ilya Muromets. And you see now Ilya Muromets, luxury passenger airplane. Actually, here is passenger cabin. Have you ever been inside of airplane? Do forgive me, of modern airplane. Have you ever seen such comfortable places? Maybe have seen, but maybe only in first class in movie. And this airplane for 16 passenger, it was completely first class of that period. Even for now, it's like outstanding comfort in the airplane. Well, and Ilya Muromets actually was made some records also by mean of this Ilya Muromets airplane was made some records of the heights, records of the lifting the height, the highest weight by that moment, by that period, and lifting the record of range. This record of range actually is a sort of anecdote for continuing construction of airplanes, designing of airplanes. Any designer need money, and Sikorsky in certain year, no, it was pioneer age of aviation, and rich people who, let's say, interesting in technical devices, who, such people exist in any age actually, who ready to pay for something new, something interesting, and to support some inventors, designers, and so on with money. They providing something like not scholarship, but some competition. And who win in this competition has got significant sum of money. So how this record has appeared at all? Someone, no, some rich person has promised to pay money in case someone do travel by airplane, no, like spend not more than 2 days for flight from St. Petersburg to Odessa. Actually, for modern airplane will cover this distance maybe for 4-5 hours. Modern passenger airplane of middle class. No, 4 hours, 5 hours, it's more than enough for such a flight. But then it was a record if someone covers this distance for couple of days in airplane, not by horses, in airplane. And people, Sikorsky and his friends, they decided to get this money and has traveled from St. Petersburg to Odessa. They hadn't got the money because they was forced to stop in Kiev to make their landing in Kiev. No, some problem with this Ilya Muromets has occurred, and of course they have not got that money. But this flight, it was a record of the range for any airplanes of that period, and Ilya Muromets has considered it like the longest, the long-rangest airplane of that period. The heaviest, the revolutionary in design, the first ever airplane with passenger cabin, with passenger cabin that is covered from from the air, let's say, for 16 passenger. Great airplane of that period. It was lifted up to 3 tons, together with the structure of airplane itself, of course. And Sikorsky was, he became famous person, like notable person in St. Petersburg. Once again, it was not first time already. No, now you see this map. Actually, it should have been finished a little bit lower in Odessa. It's on the shore of Black Sea, but it was occasionally stopped. But even by the way, pay attention. Kiev, Kharkov, here we are right now, and as I already said, they stopped. No, now we see not photo but paintings. The First World War has begun. First World War has begun, and as any good idea, as any dream of humanity, whatever romantic dream we had, usually it's very quickly transformed into something unpleasant and something bad. And the romantic, the light dream of humanity about flying as free as a bird has appeared the new kind of weapon, as you understand. But originally, the airplanes been used only for reconnaissance, for observing, for observation of battlefield, and for watching. Uh, but someone clever has decided to develop the airplane functions, and what they start doing. This someone, no, pilots, time to time, pilots just shooting from simple gun. Pilots shooting from gun in airplane cabin, sitting in a cabin, and it was something like hunting, let's say, with gun from airplanes. It was the very first battle application of airplanes during the First World War. And next application, people has invented bombing. They just dropping so-called grenades, dropping them to the heads of enemies. And the worst that, no, you do remember what did I say? That Sykorsky pilot certificate, it was with number 60 and something, and pilots all over the world. It was people who, no, it was so few people of who able to piloting the airplane. They each knew each other practically, if not in person, at least by photos, by stories, and so on. They all was something like professional family in different countries, but it was the same family. They was obsessed with the same idea. They have shared the same experience. And do imagine these people start, struggling against each other. It's like your family has separated and family members start killing each other. As for me, it was great tragedy already in this, besides of the awful tragedy of the World War at all. And they start dropping first. They start dropping the grenades from airplane, and not far after beginning of World War First, it already was not invented but designed. Design of so-called aviation bomb. When this grenade was stuffed with stabilizers, and such bombs been dropped from airplanes, but they still been dropped not automatically, just people sitting inside of the fuselage of airplane, and they opening some door or some no, something like window in the airplane, and just drop out through the bombs through these openings. Typically, it looks like this. And of course, Ilya Muromets was transformed into bomber. A heavy bomber which fly over the front line and drop bombs. And that we see in this picture and in this painting. And of course, as any, if something good, no one ready to pay money for this. If something peaceful, romantic, and so on. If it comes about weapon, there are a lot of people who are ready to pay, and of course governments. And that is why Ilya Muromets was not in one piece, not in one sample. It was produced serially, and it was used as heavy bomber during the World War I. Here we see Imperial Russian Army Escadron with the Ilya Muromets. They've been they've been used as a weapon, and they've been in rather big amount in Russian army, in army of Russian Empire. Well, and here is we see Sykorsky photo right now in his photo in his office when he was already is his late period. You see, it's already not young man. And do pay attention what airplane he's standing, model of which airplane he's standing not far from. Oh, sorry. Maybe we just have seen that present of Russian Tsar silver or gold, no, silver watches that been presented to Sikorsky. Do pay attention. Do you see this balcony? We see their four-engined airplane, but this airplane has typical appearance, no, very specific appearance, closed cockpit with balcony in front of this closed cockpit. Balcony for passengers, of course, for observing the flight surrounding during the flight. Flying bicycles, to remember. Well, yeah, the Grand Watch. It was something like prize from Tsar for Sikorsky achievement. Well, it was period, as I'm already said you, period of Russian Empire, First World War, and after this he was forced to leave his beloved country, his people, and he was forced to change country. After he started his hands manufacturing in chicken, no, as I said you, in chicken yard practically of airplanes. First, it was a simple monoplane S29. Wait a second. Is it shown here? Not. Так, Sikorsky S29. No, it's biplane, not monoplane. No, my mistake. Sorry. It also was some funny stories related to this airplane. Will not retell it right now. Should say only that it was produced in the only piece and only sample. No, really, and this very first sample of the airplane Sikorsky built in America been successfully used for some promotion of his company. And after it was once sent, no, not sent, but maybe sold, it was sold to some another company. At the period, it was companies that making movie, and this airplane was, no, let's say, like sort of actor in that movie. But after this airplane was deliberately destroyed in a movie. No, in a scheme of battle engagement, of air engagement, this airplane was destroyed. But at least this airplane helped to Sikorsky company to promote, to develop, and they has got orders for another airplanes. And these another airplanes, as I'm already said you, it was period of flying boats in fashion. In movie, maybe you have seen flying boats of another company, but giant one. But it's exactly a flying boat of Sikorsky became the very first. This one you see, no? This S38. It was the very first flying boat which been produced in big amounts. It was in serial production, in serial manufacturing, and it was a flying boat that do transatlantic flights, according to the schedule, not just like some outstanding event, but it's already been used for systematic transportation of cargo, people, so on, cross-Atlantic flights. Again, first ever. No, and after this, as you might see, one more flying bicycle. It's already his first helicopter. You see, first helicopter of Sikorsky that flew successfully, I would say. And after this, Sikorsky have constructed some famous known structures of helicopters. Let's see, not here. We will see some photos right now in another place. And here is, where is it? No. And just show you those, I mean to show you those photos. But not good visible, like different periods of Sikorsky, you see. This airplane, it's called Clipper, as I said you, it was one of his flying boats. And after the period of flying boats, as only he has succeeded with his first helicopter, he stopped. He was not interested in continuation of designing of flying boats, and he stopped designing of airplanes at all, and he like switched to designing of helicopters. But whatsoever, his first period, whether in Russian Empire or in America, when he designed airplanes, this first period, it was also very notable, and he was not only a pioneer, but he was a revolutionary in developing of aircraft technology as a group of vehicles, and developing of aerospace technology at all. Well, and let's see, I have closed it occasionally, what he have constructed as helicopters. Now, this photo you see, it's again Sikorsky and his Ilya Muromets, and very funny picture of helicopter. Look to his helicopters, some of them well known for their appearance. In the first photo on his very first helicopter he made when he was young, would look that one. Oh, here is. You see helicopter, he tried to create helicopter of so-called coaxial scheme with coaxial rotors, main rotors. And next, mostly he followed to traditional conventional scheme, but also in his, where is it? In some of his helicopters, we may see at least twin rotor scheme. This photo, no, I pointed out this photo for the head, for this old head. It's also, it's funny fact, it's something like silly thing, but Sikorsky, no, I already said you, whatever he has designed, first flight, maiden flight of each of his structure he has designed, he tested on his own. Like, I'm responsible, and in case something goes wrong, let it be me. And he always was wearing in this hat. He called it my lucky hat. Of course, it's something like superstition, but he compulsory used the same hat during some dozens of years, and exactly use it for maiden flights. But actually, he was not crazy. He was not just talented man. He was, it's called practicing Christian. He was faithful person. He has significant faith in our God, in Lord. Don't consider this like something like religious propaganda, but Sikorsky genius innovation. He was not only airplane designer, airplane and helicopter designer. He also was a writer, and specific writer. He wrote philosophic and theologian books. And genius is genius in everything. Genius person is genius in everything. He was well known on one hand. He was famous as helicopter designers, airplane designers, and he was famous also for his theologian books, for his theologian, no, not articles, but really books. No idea whether it's mentioned here in this site, but the fact that he was aircraft, let it be, designer and theologian, it's such a fact is mentioned in all the stories about Sikorsky. He was Orthodox Christian. He spent, when he already got the money, he spent a lot of money, and he has constructed the church temple in the place in San Francisco, or where he lived. He has constructed such huge church to his money. Look at this beautiful, beautiful face. I'm not talking about beautiful face of Sikorsky and this Michael Glucharev. No? I'm talking about this. Look at this. It's so-called flying crane, Sikorsky 60, or this Sikorsky S60. Do pay attention what time it was around. No, it's 20 years after the very first successful flight of helicopter with human, and once again it was Sikorsky. Only 20 years passed, and look what these structures of helicopters has transferred into. We'll try to find you once again this photo in my schronka. Where is it? Oh, here is. What is it? Do pay attention. One helicopter carrying another helicopter. No, like pulling another helicopter. At the top, what do we say at the top? Huge helicopter of unusual appearance. Fuselage is unusual, of course, because it's so-called flying crane. And this flying crane was designed by Sikorsky, and this flying crane right now, you see, it's used for transportation of another helicopter of another company. I have seen some photos where Sikorsky helicopter transporting the twin rotored Boeing helicopters, for instance, Chinook. And this flying crane, no, besides of the fact that it was outstanding decision that one flying vehicle is transporting another flying vehicles. Actually, it was designed exactly for taking part in constructions, for instance, of building or some high structures. And this crazy idea that crane may fly, because of property of helicopter of hovering, it's may be used, you understand, it's really may be used in contrary to airplane, which need to continue lifting some, to continue flight, airplane need to move. If airplane stop moving, airplane fall down. But helicopter may hover due to this rotation of main rotor. It may like stuck up somewhere at the point on some heights. And this property may be used for different purposes. So what Sikorsky was, again, the very first who has provided this, who has promoted this idea of using the flying vehicles as a crane, as flying crane. And we may continue. No, I just like the face of this helicopter, of this flying crane. We may continue story about his achievement, about his life, but no, you understand. I like this person. I like his vehicles he has designed. And before we continue our classes of another types of machine, we need to talk about helicopters. We need to talk. I think it will be. I hope it will be interesting for you to talk about their vertically rising machines of unusual schemes. I'd like you to be acquainted with this person, with person who lived in some countries, person who was outstanding person in some fields, but really in some fields. Besides, as I'm already said you, that beside of being pioneer in aviation, in some direction in aviation, besides of being father of all the helicopters in the world, he was also theologian, writer, and he was father of big family. He was happy grandfather and so on. No, I'd like you to remember this name. And some more classes we will spend for stories and familiarizing with design of people who was, well, let's say, undeservedly forgotten or underestimated in their countries until they were alive. Sikorsky usually meet difficulties. He has problems with money, with government, with some authorities, but actually he was known, famous during his life, and he was like not underestimated during his life. He was known in country, in foreign countries at least. It's his country, the territory of former Russian Empire, continue like not to notice him at that period. But in another country, in the country that take him as an immigrant, he was known, famous, and wealthy man, respectable man. But there are some another person we will talk about, and among those person is Robert Bartini, that I have already once mentioned, who was not so happy to be famous, accepted, and so on. And somehow his history, his personal history of Robert Bartini, it somehow remind the history of Sikorsky. But in contrary to Sikorsky, who was forced to leave his country, he was forced to switch his country to some foreign country. Bartini, in contrary, he left his native country, Italy, and came to another country, Soviet Union, young Soviet Union, deliberately, and the idea of promoting the communism, the revolutions, and so on. But at the same time, besides being revolutionary, he was a very talented engineer. And when he started his career in Soviet Union, a lot of tragic things have happened to him. And next time we will talk about him. And he was not known in our country, neither in abroad countries nor in our country. It was something, the sort of secret person at all. And this secret person, Bartini, Robert Bartini, after his death, and after his some years after his death already, it was revealed, his person, and it was revealed that unusual airplanes been appearing in Soviet Union. They were works of Roberto Bartini. And when Sikorsky may be called, in all the articles about him, it's called Russian American engineer. And like he went to America from Russian Empire. But Bartini is Italian engineer, Italian young man who was traveled to Soviet Union, and as I'm already said you, he was hidden secret person. Both of them were very different, of course, but both of them was genius in aircraft design, and both of them was pioneers and revolutionaries in terms of developing of aircraft technology. No, do forgive me, maybe it's already too long again. We will stop on this. I hope you will remember this man. Now you see him at the last years of his life, and what? Wait a second, and we will finish. One of the most famous photos, maybe, of Sikorsky. Do forgive me, the quality, maybe. No, I mean, quality in points not so good. Look at this airplane. Airplane, do forgive me, helicopter. Look at this structure. And it's one of also very famous photo of Sikorsky. It's one of his first flying machines as rotorcraft. You see unusual design. You see his piloting his machine, and you see his lucky hat. I hope you will remember this person. And in order to make you to remember this person, some of people we are talking about in our classes you will meet in final test that you need to pass.